Assalamu alaikum. Hi, I'm Miriam Louise Curtis and welcome back to the second half of Living a Dynamic Life. My guest today is Peter Uglow, and it's been amazing, your journey so far, so thank you, Peter, and welcome back. So we were talking in the break about deep appreciation and an attitude of gratitude, and it's very true what you say, actually, because actually having that depth of gratitude for things that we have in our life, maybe a beautiful garden, walking under the trees, we lose our connectedness a lot of the time, don't we? So how would you kind of express your gratitude now to perhaps how you did before you reawakened, reconnected, before you actually experienced true unconditional love?
I just see the world completely differently. I think I said earlier, it's like I've had my glasses cleaned. I just see how wonderful the world is. I didn't see that before. It was like I was looking at it through frosted glass of emotional pain, because I didn't feel accepted. I felt lonely. I felt empty. Those two elements, that the feeling of being lonely and empty, create a fear and a pain. And when you do that, you seek things to take the pain away. If you have a car parked on your foot, you're going to do something pretty quickly to take the pain away. Most of us don't realise how much pain we're in. I had no idea how much pain I was in.
It becomes normal, doesn't it?
Yes, it
does. And certainly for me, you know, as a holistic therapist, I just see the pain in people, and most of it is because of lack of unconditional love, lack of self-awareness, lack of self-confidence, self-esteem, you know, eating rubbish. If we eat rubbish, we feel rubbish. But it's much deeper than that when we talk about unconditional love, isn't it?
Yeah, unconditional love is not a technique. It's not something you can read a book about and say, okay, practice this, practice this, practice this. It's a feeling. It really is a feeling. And you get that feeling from a sense that people around you really accept you for exactly who you are. Well, how are people going to be able to accept you for who you are if you won't tell them who you are?
If you don't know who you are, and if they don't know who they are as well.
Exactly, that's exactly right. And so all you will be effectively is you'll be two people having a conversation with masks on.
Absolutely.
I watch people having conversations now, and they don't connect with each other. They just sit there effectively having two parallel monologues. So it's like you don't listen to each other properly. You're simply sitting there waiting for your turn to say what it is that's going on in your mind.
And to say what you're expected to say, and to live by obligation.
Yes.
And I think that's very true, and I think that we don't live in a world now where there's ever any silence to listen and to kind of go over the day and just think, what could I have done today that was better, or what did I do that was really good, how can I improve? We don't reevaluate anything. We don't go over things in a productive way, I mean.
One of the best ways to love somebody is to listen to them. Without any doubt at all, is to listen to them. You see, most people don't really know how to listen because we've got the television on, we've got the music on, there's just noise all around us. We don't really listen, actually, because all we're feeling is pain ourselves. So when you listen to somebody, actually most of the time when people are talking to us, they are saying just very, very simple words. They are saying, I don't feel loved right now. That's actually what most people are saying. Now that comes out in a whole load of different ways. If somebody's angry or irritated or disappointed or frustrated, they're saying, I don't feel loved right now, because if they did feel loved, then they wouldn't be angry or irritated. If they're, for example, they're boasting about their performance, then it's like they're trying to get your acceptance for how good they are, because they don't feel worthy of themselves. They've got to tell you how good and worthy they are. So you can get people who just seem to monopolize every single conversation. If somebody is complaining, is whining, is moaning about or blaming someone else, these are the simple words they're using. I don't feel loved right now. And all they need is love. Now, listening to them is not necessarily sitting there for half an hour and listening to them to whine and complain and be angry.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do that. What you can do is you can hear the pain behind them, and simply by saying, you don't sound that happy right now. Is there anything I can do for you? Simple as that. Ask them what they want. What is it they really want? And instead of them sitting there for the next half hour moaning about their boss, or moaning about the driver that cut them up, or moaning about the disrespectful person that served them in the shop, or the inconvenience that they've had from the tax office, or the teacher that's told their child off. No, what do they want? What do they really want? What is it that they need? Offer to listen to them, and offer to spend time with them, just being with them and caring for them. That's the first thing, rather than having to tell them all about you and your fears and stuff. So listening is a key thing.
Do you think that time is one of our most important assets?
It takes time to feel loved. It really does. I'm now a little over 50 years old, and I had 47 years in the wilderness, literally, just deaf, blind, empty, lonely. And it's taken a lot of time and contact and effort with Dr. Greg Bear to get me to waken up, to see that I'm worthy, to see that actually, no, I'm a perfectly lovable human being who actually now can actually learn to pass that on.
Which is lovely, isn't it?
It is.
So obviously Greg must have gone through his own story to arrive at his destination, to share that with you, and obviously he's no doubt shared that with a lot of people in America, and obviously from the reviews for the books, they're obviously very successful. So tell me about Greg's story.
Greg was a successful eye surgeon in the United States, and by his mid-30s he'd achieved everything that he was told that he needed to achieve for happiness.
In society.
In society.
In peer pressure, yeah.
Exactly. So he had a family, he had children, he had successful children that he was proud of. Supposedly that was about him, not them, you get that?
Absolutely.
His marriage was actually unhappy, but he would deny that to everybody. He had the house, he had the car, he could go on holiday. He had the financial and material things. He had a successful series of eye clinics. So in his own chosen profession, he was top of that profession. He was good at everything, and he was told that would bring him happiness. It didn't. He still experienced, despite all of that success or all of that material stuff, he worked out that he wasn't happy. So he then started asking, well, what do I need for happiness? And actually, in the first instance, he recognized that he was in pain. To distract him from his pain, he started taking the prescription drugs that he used for his eye patients.
Wow.
And he became addicted. And he then became seriously addicted to narcotics, such that he was in a state of completely stoned when he was conducting operations and things like that. The pain led him to a place where he got so desperate that he felt he needed to take his life, and he sat with a gun against his head.
Goodness me.
He didn't pull the trigger, and I'm so glad he didn't. There are lots of people in America that are glad he didn't, and there's a growing community in the UK now
Absolutely.
that are glad he didn't.
Yeah.
He got to his point of pain. I got to my point of pain. A lot of people get to their points of pain. So he then went on a journey of his own discovery to work out what was missing. He met with a group of people regularly where they effectively conducted experiments amongst themselves, and he took copious notes, and those notes that he took became the basis of his first book, Real Love.
Do you not think that it's really important sometimes to share our vulnerability? And certainly for me, I ended up in the dark night of the soul because my body just said, no, I'm not playing. I'd done work, sleep, knocked around the goldfish bowl too many times. And we can all get on that hamster wheel, and very often we don't recognise, as you say, just how much pain, how much stress, how much noise there is in our life, and how many distractions we have as coping mechanisms to just get through life.
We are told we have to be a certain way, regardless of race, creed, belief, background, geographical place you were brought up in, which side of Manchester you were born on, even down to that level. It's almost like we are told how we should be. We're not encouraged to be free, to be who we really are. Now, of course, there's a way to be that works. The way to be is to be loving. I wasn't taught what love was. I wasn't taught how to be loving. I wasn't shown unconditional love, and there's no blame that you get. That my parents just didn't know. But there are so many ways that society says that we have to be. You have to be successful at school. You have to get certain grades. You might have to, be told that you need to get a degree, that you've got to go on to university, that you have to work, that your success is based on the amount of money that you earn, or the standard of house that you live, or the street that you live in, or the postcode that you're in. There are also rules and restrictions that our parents place on us on the type of partner that we have. They must be similar to us, or they must have this belief or that background, and so there's rules and restrictions about that. In fact, there's judgments. We're judged on what we eat. We're judged on what we enjoy. We're judged on how we choose to spend our time. We're judged on what we do. And if it's different to somebody else, then it's not normal for what we're taught. So, I was taught that I was almost led to believe that unless I had a university education, then I was worthless. So I had to get a degree. I then had to have a career, and the only thing I could do in that career was get promoted. So if I wasn't continually being promoted, then I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't improving. I wasn't succeeding in life. Those were the messages that I got, and I passed those on to my children. And my parents weren't business people. I dropped out of the career path to be a businessman then, and then success becomes on the net profit. Success becomes on the number of employees you've got. Success comes on the number of status symbols you can buy based on the profitability that you now pay you with dividends from your business. This stuff is crazy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely crazy.
And it's so far from the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And most people are so unaware that they're asleep.
Yes.
And I remember one of my students recently, because obviously I teach Reiki, which is heart-centered living, and within that I teach the kind of Sufi way. But, heart-centered living is really important because we need to learn to love and accept ourselves on every single level, warts and all. We all have good habits, we all have bad habits. And what would you say to the viewers out there where they can maybe just start with one thing to change? Obviously there's the books. Are you thinking of writing a book, by the way, or?
I may do in time. At the moment, I'm not thinking about that because I feel that Greg's written all that needs to be written in terms of that. At some point, maybe when he's not around or whatever, then I may have way more experience that I can actually talk about more of my experiences and the number of lives I've touched. At the moment, I'm touching lives and not recording it. Maybe sometime I'll record that. Who knows? Right now, all the information, the information needed to be understood, is certainly written in such a brilliant form by Greg. I can't see the point in reinventing the wheel right now. Who knows? I don't need my name on it. That's how I feel. It's not my message. The message of unconditional love has been around ever since mankind.
Absolutely.
So the unconditional love doesn't need my name on it. Unconditional love just is. What I've learned to be able to do in my flawed stupidity and from where I've come from and who I am is to be able to love people. So first of all, I started learning how to love Nikki, my wife. Then I learned how to love my children. And now I've learned in my practice at Real Love UK, we counsel, coach, mentor people on a one-to-one basis, learning how to love their people in their life. But the first element of that is for them to feel loved. So they come work with me on a one-to-one basis, and I get them to see that they're okay. They're in pain, but actually one of the things they can do is start to learn to see what warts they've got. What mistakes do they make? What things in their life do they do on a daily basis, either to their partners, their spouses, their children, that make the people that are around them feel uncared for? And those can be the simplest of things. We talked a little bit earlier about how I was disappointed with my children, simply with I did that often. They talk about the dad, they talk about the dad look. I kind of had that look in my eye that said, you're not going to do that because I'm not going to be too happy if you do. They could tell immediately. It's almost like disapproval oozed from me. And I know you'll know that because that's the energy that I had. That was what I was giving off. They felt it. They
But we all
sensed it.
feel it. I mean,
Yes.
I see energies, I always have done. But irrespective of that, everybody feels that.
Yes.
We all know a teacher at school who accepted us from one that didn't.
Yes, we do.
We all know that there have been times maybe when parents have accepted us, or grandparents perhaps have accepted us and not others. But we choose our friends because they accept us generally, warts and all, or more likely than sometimes our relatives, I guess. But what's the general advice that you would give to someone to start healing and peeling back these layers of maybe doubt, guilt, you know, things that have caused us lack of self-respect, self-regard, self-esteem? What's some good advice that you'd give to someone?
So we're building a community here in the UK, and practically there are lots of resources around our community that people can easily tap into. So in the first instance, we have the resources of Greg, the information, the understanding. We have a growing number of people who are learning that they're lovable, that they're acceptable, and that they can accept others. So within the group, you can join into the group and get to know the people in the community, and then simply keep in contact. They can become effectively new friends. You said we choose friends who can accept us. Yes, we do. But actually, sometimes we make friends on the basis of what the friend can give us.
Yes, expectations, attachments, conditions again,
Absolutely.
isn't it? Yeah.
And if people don't give us what we want, then they don't become our friend.
Exactly.
So if they do give us what we want, they become our friend. And woe betide the day when our friend, for whatever reason, stops giving us what we want. Because when they do, it's like, well, they're not going to be my friend anymore. And so you can have friendships that will last for a long time or a lifetime, but if the balance of the friendship changes, it can crumble in an instance if one or other in the friendship actually stops giving to the other one what the basis of the friendship has been on. We call that trading imitation love.
But it's true, isn't it? It's conditional love.
Yes, it is. It's conditional all the way. In other words, if you keep giving to me what I want in this friendship, I'll still be your friend. If you stop giving that to me, then I'm not going to be your friend. So I won't accept you for who you really are. So within the community, it's like you can become friends, but you don't have to live in each other's pockets. You just get to know each other in an entirely different way, but through whichever manner of communication you want, whether it be through telephone or whether it through be email or maybe Skype videoing with each other. Actually, you build up friendships where we sit and share a few moments with each other every day and share with somebody else our learnings, our flawed mistakes and our stupidities. So the other day I recognised that when I was working with Nikki at home in the office, I recognised that I was still emanating just an undercurrent of control. I've run a business before and it's like I know how to do it. Nikki hasn't experienced running a business before and she's doing some of the stuff to promote us and I recognised that just totally unknown to me, I was almost controlling her and manipulating her to do it a certain way rather than allowing her the complete freedom to make mistakes herself. And to grow in her own, have fun growing. So I just said this to her one day. I said, Nick, I've recognised here, I've been really unloving to you and selfish. That it's when you're doing something, it's almost like I comment when you haven't asked me to. You haven't asked for my help. I've just done it automatically. And I didn't realise that actually that's something, the effect has had is that you're no doubt sitting there feeling that I'm judging your work, judging your growth and judging your performance. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to do that again.
But it's such a heavy weight to carry. Yes. And yet most of us at some point do it or have done it.
Yes, we do.
And I think gradually as you start healing and peeling back these layers and you reawaken, reconnect, remember to who you really are, who we are in our truth from Source, from God, from Allah, from the Divine, we are a sparkly diamond. Yes. But unfortunately we've got so many layers through political, cultural, peer pressure, parental pressure, and all the other stuff that kind of just squashes us down and down and down. I think one of the main things for me is finding where your passion is and doing more of it. So, if you're a dancer, you should dance. If you're an artist, you should you should do art because it floats your boat, it gives you pleasure. And if that makes you feel good, then surely that's going to pass on maybe to somebody else. But of course, if we've been told by a parent, you can't do that because you won't earn a living, or, oh, that's rubbish that, or whatever, we begin to live a lie, and we do believe everything our parents tell us anyway, because obviously we do. But what's your kind of, I see a lot of people and they say, I don't know what my life purpose is, Mary. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And it's because of all these layers. And obviously as a therapist and a healer, it's kind of helping them to heal and peel those layers back. What's your advice to someone who's got lost along the way?
I spent quite some time with this whole idea of looking for my purpose. I'm really clear about my purpose now. My purpose is simply this. On a daily basis, to learn to become more and more unconditionally loving. On a daily basis, to become less and less selfish. That's my purpose. Now, in order to become more unconditionally loving, well, I need to feel loved, which I do. I've found the sources of love that I need to feel that. I need to be responsible for my happiness, not make anybody else responsible for my happiness. But I also, the third thing is to be loving to others. Now, I ran a business where the entire purpose of the business was to make as much money for me as possible. Do you see, I didn't care for anybody else. I didn't care for the people that were working for me. I didn't really care for our customers. It was just about me, 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 me. What I say to anybody now is that if you set your purpose to become the most loving being you possibly can be, you can do that in millions of different ways on this earth, but instead of looking it to be about you, make it about other people. You know, if you're a teacher, don't moan about the other teachers and the colleagues and the curriculum you've got to teach. Really focus on the children that you're teaching. Know they need to be loved by you, and be a teacher who can love them.
So it's coming out of the brain mind to the heart mind.
It's moving from here to here. It's all about, we live our life up in here, which is all about us, me, 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 to you, you, you.
So it's more altruistic, isn't it?
Completely it is, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, you talked about dancing. Well, do you dance as a passion for yourself, or maybe
to give pleasure to others? Exactly. That's
absolutely you would. You do it for others. Take yourself out of yourself and live your passion, whatever it is, knowing that you're doing it, caring for the happiness of others without wanting anything back in return for yourself. That's what unconditional love really is.
It really is. And I think we've only got 3 minutes left, and I think that hopefully that's a note that people will be able to take away with them and be able to learn from. And I always think that if we start the day and think, what can I do today, be it feeding the birds, smiling at someone on the bus, sharing maybe an experience that we've enjoyed with someone, or, you know, saying this was a beautiful drama and you might enjoy going, or I've read that book and I think it's lovely. But for me as well, certainly as a teacher, when I share my vulnerabilities, watching the light bulbs go on around the room, and I really appreciate you sharing your vulnerability today. So just remind us again, it's Greg Bear and the books are?
The Real Love books. So Real Love is the first in the series, and there are numbers, but it's Real Love, and you can find access to those books at www.realloveuk.com.
Well, I really appreciate you coming today, Peter. It's been very insightful for me. It's been lovely to meet Nikki. Obviously, she's not on set, but I shall go and say my thank yous to her. Thank you for today. It's very much appreciated, and I wish you luck in everything that you do. And obviously, if you do ever write a book, if you let me know, if any of our viewers are interested, I will let you know. Certainly. So I do hope that you've enjoyed the show, Living a Dynamic Life. I hope that we've inspired you, given you something to think about. And sometimes by just making that one simple change in life, you can change your life, and just as Peter does, we can change the lives of others. If you require any more information, the email is info@umarchannel.tv. So that was Living a Dynamic Life. I hope that's aided you to be able to live more a dynamic life. I'm Miriam Louise Curtis, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you.